So let's talk about doing an IoT business. It's a hot topic. Everybody wants to join it. And we're going to talk why the way most of telcos, most of people are trying to go into IoT business, I would say it's not wrong, but it has a very high chance for a failure. And what is a better way of doing this? What is a way for CSP to build an IoT ecosystem and create a long-living, growing revenue source from IoT? The typical approach of an operator to IoT is, okay, there are some companies, maybe it's a car manufacturer, maybe it's a logistics company, maybe it's agriculture. They need some IoT devices, they need some IoT sensor. We'll sell them IoT SIM cards and we're going to profit on that. I actually had asked DALL-E to draw me a picture of a person with multiple offers about SIM cards. It was a hilarious picture with basically this bazaar style of person being chased and with different slogans and advertisements that didn't fit our colors, and I didn't have time to teach DALL-E to adhere to PortaOne standards, so I'm skipping it. But you can imagine this, because when somebody wants to buy a SIM card, we arrived yesterday in the airport, there are multiple stores which sell local SIM cards. But when it's about IoT SIM cards, you can Google. And you will be competing not just with one, not just with two, you will be competing with hundreds of global vendors who all are trying to sell exactly the same thing, SIM card for IoT connectivity. And when we have such a commodity, you can imagine they will be trying to lower the prices. There's going to be price wars in which nobody wins. And also, since it's a commodity, the customer loyalty is close to zero. So you landed a contract with DHL, and they're using your SIMs in all of their vehicles for now. And then somebody else goes there and makes a better offer to the procurement department, and the next month or next year, all of a sudden, the traffic drops to zero because they switched to another provider. And there is not much thing you can do, because when you try to sell to existing operating businesses such as DHL or somebody else, well, they have their procurement department, they have their strategy, which is exactly opposite to yours. Their strategy is to pay as little as possible. So it's going to be difficult because you are too late in the cycle. You're in the point in the life cycle of an enterprise when they just need some commodity connectivity, and you cannot change it, you cannot influence it. So the alternative way of doing this is, why don't we start working with new IoT enterprises, basically IoT startups, somebody who's just about to deploy a new service. Maybe they had an idea, maybe they just getting their first customers. So it's early enough. They are open, they will be able to work with you. Most importantly, at this point, you can offer them something more than a connectivity. You can offer them maybe your sales channels by upselling their service to existing customers. You can offer them an ecosystem. Maybe they need a data warehouse to be hosted not in the global data centers, and they are in Europe, but maybe they want some local data centers in the region to minimize the latency because that's what their application requires. Maybe there's some government requirements. Maybe they need edge computing or something else which you can supply locally. And if we establish that, if we become part of their architecture of their application, then it's a really long-term relationship. We all know when sometimes they have some enterprise software which we don't like, and they can be complaining about this, but they know to change it requires some drastic efforts. So nobody is to change SIM cards for 1 cent cheaper. It's a no-brainer, they will do it immediately. To change a system which involves some data storage and APIs and things, it requires testing, it requires efforts, and nobody is going to do it for some fraction of a cent of a profit. So by doing this, we CSPs, telcos can create these opportunities for us. Of course, the disadvantage of dealing with startups, it's a lot of them. Everybody is trying to capture a slice of that pie. But with startups, not all of them are going to survive. That's the nature of new enterprises. They may not have that established engineering team as a large company, so it may be more difficult for them to do things right. So how can we do this? How can we attract IoT enterprises to become part of our network, part of our ecosystem, and don't go crazy supporting them, educating them, kind of doing their work instead of them? So the answer is, which we produced, it's IoT Mill. And we all know stories about new great companies which came out as a startup from some kind of internal project when something was needed for their own good. So it was a real case. Well, IoT Mill actually came out of the personal life of our president, Alexander Kapitanenko. He lives in Vancouver, British Columbia, beautiful country, which is right next to the Rocky Mountains. So forest, mountains, and in North America, your garbage truck comes once a week, so you have to roll out your trash can, so they would pick it up. It usually comes early in the morning. The problem where Alexander lives and where many people live, if you set it out in the evening, a bear would come and they would smell the food, they will toss that trash can, they will rip everything apart, and so you come and then we have garbage all across the property. So Alexander, he thought, okay, I want to have something which will actually transport the trash can at 7:30 a.m., like at 15 minutes before the truck is supposed to come, so the bear has minimum chance to come. And he started working on the device and he realized, okay, yes, it's possible to do that, but there are so many obstacles between the idea and between the working product. And he spent about a year and a half, and that's, I would say, the average time it will take for a normal engineer developer to do that. Because the normal life cycle is you have this idea, then maybe you get some prototyping kit and you build something which works in the lab, right? So it's a board, bunch of cables, you show it to your friends, you show it to a manager, show maybe to investors, say, great, now do the real thing, something which you can give to your customers. And then you have to do the actual manufacturing. So you have to do circuit design, you have to find company somewhere in Asia or some other place which will manufacture it. You have to deal with shortages of microchips, shipping delays, all kind of things. They finally send you a version of a device, and as usual, okay, something doesn't work. But it's hardware, so it's not like you can fix it easily. You have to repeat that process, which takes months. So with this hoverboard, with automated transport tool, it took about a year and a half, a bit more, to produce the first working version. And that applies to pretty much any other IT startup. And during that time, a lot of things may happen. They can run out of funding, something may happen on the market, somebody else may come earlier and capture the market, so they will just die. So the alternative with IoT Mill. So instead of trying to do themselves all of that design in this hard way and dealing with errors, they get a kit, which it's in the solid box, something which you can actually give to your customer or customers or thousands of customers. It has all the programming capabilities for connecting to using LTE network, connecting to the data sources, reading meter data. So it requires just a minimum configuration to start reading meter data, and then you can deploy it. So and you can give it to first customers to collect their feedback, maybe make some adjustments, maybe do a pivot. The only thing which is left is to put some nice dashboards or whatever your end customer requires. So in the IoT Mill, you get all of that. It's optimized that it can live on a single battery charge for about 10 years. It has built-in sensors such as GPS and accelerometer, so it can be used for vehicle tracking immediately. It has Bluetooth and can be used as a Bluetooth gateway, so it can read data from Bluetooth beacons, which is good maybe for agriculture. So you install one device and then it can read meters from around, or maybe it's for delivery trucks. There are beacons or sensors in every maybe crate to measure the temperature so the things don't get spoiled. And then it can transport the data to the cloud. And I said it already has the programming capabilities for connecting and sending data to warehouses such as via MQTT. So it could be Google IoT, Azure, Things Board, pretty much everything that you need. And the configuration of the destination, configuration of the meters is done through, well, it requires some basic engineering skills, but it's done through UI, so you don't have to write a lot of code. So a person with some experience with programming, with devices can probably have it ready within a few days. And so the only thing which is left is probably the front-end part, which will show the analytics. So if we're doing agriculture, something will show the farmer the temperatures, or maybe launch the commands to start the watering sprinklers in those areas where it's too dry. And of course, maybe to put some charging in. And again, here, potentially for CSPs who have PortaSwitch as an opportunity to offer hosted PortaBilling partitions, because then they can have access to all these powerful billing features. Because I'm a member of a Facebook group for SaaS founders, and they're doing exactly the same thing which VoIP people were doing 20 years ago. They're like writing their billing system in Excel or doing things, and then they realize, okay, it doesn't have this feature, it messes up here, and they're spending all the resources which they could have spent making the products better and delivering some value. So the idea with IoT Mill is to become a provider of ecosystem. So for new startups, new companies for IoT services, you can supply IoT Mills, or you can potentially have them white labeled. So it's going to be X Telecom IoT kit. This way, they can launch their service in a matter of months. They can start growing in a matter of months and bringing you some revenue. Since you enter in the communication with them early enough, you have an opportunity to upsell them some additional services from your infrastructure, become a part of their system, use some cross-selling opportunities, whether it's you upsell the service to your existing customers, or maybe again, if you sell the connectivity, you have access to the customers they find and then go through there. Can be white labeled. And besides the technical part, there's a whole other area about like truly turning this into a startup accelerator and giving those people business ideas and some required education and nurturing them, making them grow. I'm not going to be covering this in this presentation, but on our website, we have a dedicated document which is mostly focusing on this organizational and business planning, marketing, things which you can offer to these IoT startups. And as always, we encourage PortaOne customers to share their experience, share their ideas, what they're doing, so it can be used by other PortaOne operators around the world. So I hope with IoT Mill and with new ideas about IoT ecosystem, we can allow more cool IoT services to be successfully launched and have this world as a more convenient, more safe, and better place to be. Thank you.